what you want, what you want.
Hey guys, this is P.M.R.Bonez88's, and during this weekend I went to the movies and I saw was Terminator Gensyis. So this is probably a sci-fi sequel or remake Terminator movie. I don't know how to describe it though, but Terminator Gensyis is now a sci-fi movie that brought back the true Terminator, Arnold Schwarzenegger. So Terminator Gensyis is now about Kyle Reese that went back in time to the year 1984, but somehow this 1984 is not the same from the original Terminator movie. It was really practically different. They alternated the time zone. Everything has changed, everything was different, and Sarah Connor, she's now no longer a shy, cowardly waitress. Now she's much more of a fighter and a soldier, and along with her protector, the Terminator, nothing was old, nothing that was really familiar. Well, except they used some prefaces to from the first Terminator, and then they used some references about Judgment Day in the second film, and a little bit of Rise of the Machine, and sort of Salvation. But to me, in my opinion, it was like taking place after Terminator Salvation, of explaining of how John Connor became the hero and how Kyle Reese joined up with John Connor's army. That in each and every character that Arnold Schwarzenegger returns to play as the Terminator, and that was great. So 2 thumbs up for Arnold. And for Sarah Connor, she's now new. Like, she's now much, like I said, of a soldier, and she explained about how she got trained, and well, not really too much of explanation, but storyline that it seemed to be fair, and honestly that it was only just like rushing in, like how they rushed the storyline, how they didn't really explain not too much, or they added some things that were like very important that we wanted to know how the event has happened, such as where Sarah Connor explained that how the Terminator like ran into Sarah, and he has been protecting her and treating her like a father. More likely that the Terminator like protected Sarah when she was a little girl, and now that she's been trained to become as a soldier and trying to fight off all these other Terminators, and including now we have the T-1000 in 1984. That was really different, because somehow somebody must have sent the T-1000 back in time to kill Sarah Connor. But now that the character of Kyle Reese, he's not really, at first he's really serious, much more of a soldier, but then throughout the movie, he starts to get really not really potential, like really much more of a wise ass cracking wannabe soldier, and where we see now that he doesn't really evolve too much, and the elements that he didn't really use from the original, that is, he starts to like lose it. He just goes down, like acting just himself, like an old ordinary person, and just not being the character that he's supposed to be, like not really too strong of it. The visual effects, they were really good. I have to admit, they were very good, and I really loved how they brought back the T-1000, that make him a little realistic, but not too realistic than the Judgment Day T-1000 that Robert Patrick played as. But this whole new T-1000, he didn't really put too much of a fight. I wish he had much more screening and much more fight in him, maybe a little bit more throughout the movie, just a bit, maybe teaming up with John Connor. And speaking of John Connor, now we see him as this whole new Terminator that we're not too sure what he is. He's much more man, much more machine, but there's something that happened to him probably during the timeline that alternated, or maybe when Kyle Reese went back in time, something happened to John. We're not too sure, but if those of you want to see that, he is very different. Like, he's much more powerful than the T-1000 or the TX from Terminator 3, Rise of the Machine. He's like something more. We're not too sure what he is. That this whole new Terminator and how they show him in the trailer, that was really a bad move. At that point, they really spoiled it. Now that everybody knew that John Connor was now the Terminator, it's like they shouldn't just like leave him out of it in the trailer. And when we go in the movies, we should see him like really all surprisingly that we would see like, oh my God, John Connor is now a Terminator. The world is coming to an end. But that didn't happen. I was really disappointed. Who cares, right? But overall, this movie's really good, and hopefully when it comes to Blu-ray and DVD, I hope they make a director's cut like what they did to Terminator Salvation. So everything that happened that we see now is the storyline seemed a bit rushed. There were some scenes that were very silly at times. Sometimes they was very funny, but most of the times that the characters get a little too silly or ridiculous, and they need to like calm down a little bit of comedy, because it started to become just a little bit comedy, but much more of action and sci-fi, really serious. So more of action, sci-fi adventure, and teeny tiny bit of comedy. So that's what I thought. But theoretically, this movie, I think it deserves that. Give it another chance. If those of you really want to see it again and you like Terminator Gensyis, I would say just give it another chance. And by the way, I saw it in 3D. I forgot to mention, I saw Terminator Gensyis in 3D. But there was not much 3D going on, but it was really good. The action scene, the visual effects, they were really good. And how the way they ended, something tells me that they are going to make another Terminator movie. We're not too sure what they're going to call it, but some tell me how they ended, it's going to be another one. So just letting you all know. So just to rate this film, for Terminator Gensyis, I would have to give it a 8 out of 10. And the only reason why I gave it that rating because that Arnold Schwarzenegger returned to play as the Terminator. No one can be the Terminator unless somebody can be like in a different model. But the T-800, no one could be that character except Arnold Schwarzenegger, because he is the original, the legend, and the classic Terminator.
I'll be back.
What?
So even though that the storyline seemed to be, in the beginning it starts to be very good, but then somehow throughout the movie it starts to like rush things out, and it starts to like not really make any sense or not really understanding. And most of the time the cast members that try to be the characters, they sometimes get a little too high talent, high quality of being silly, or sometimes be really serious. But some of them do get really serious at times, but the one who was like taking the character really serious was Arnold, because he was the original Terminator. That's why I liked about him. And especially with the visual effects, they were really good too. Hopefully they do make a director's cut, and I'll be looking for it when it comes on Blu-ray and DVD. And this is P.M.R.Bonez88's signing off. The saying is, peace!